I've just finished watching Soul, the latest film by Pixar Animation Studios, which tells the story of Joe Gardner, voiced by Jamie Foxx, a teacher at a public school who teaches music to his students. He's also a very gifted pianist, really gifted jazz musician in his own right, and it's always been his dream to make it in the big time. When an unfortunate incident happens one day, he is taken to the great beyond, or the great before, where he meets all kinds of different souls. He meets a soul named simply 22, voiced by Tina Fey, and they go on a journey. Director Pete Docter, Pixar legend, has taken root back in the director's chair again. Directed Monsters Inc., Up, and Inside Out most recently, all of which are fantastic Pixar films, and it's always really exciting to see him stepping up into the director's chair again. And it's safe to say he absolutely hasn't disappointed again on this one. He co-directs this time with Kemp Powers, and they have both really at the helm of something really special here. I've just seen the film and I feel completely knocked out by it. I absolutely loved it. Every frame really is a painting in it, to quote the YouTube channel. Go and check out Every Frame a Painting, by the way, because that's a fantastic channel. Of course, visually, Pixar always excel in animation, and especially like CGI, sort of 3D animation, and this is really no exception. Visually, it's incredibly innovative, and I found it so beautiful to watch. The colours in it are absolutely extraordinary. It is a bit of a shame that it's not been released into cinemas, because on the big screen it really would have been something quite transcendent, I think. But it still is testament to the film, to how much it still works on a smaller screen. You still get completely sucked in, and a massive part of that is due to brilliant writing. The script is beautifully detailed, and the voice performances are fantastic as always. Tina Fey, in particular, actually, I really enjoyed her voice work here. Jamie Foxx is of course brilliant as well, and everybody, even Graham Norton, turns up for a bit role, which was really surprising, and like a really delightful surprise. He was fantastic in the role. It really does ask the massive questions. Pete Docter has even said himself, when he was pitching the idea for the film, the only way he could really describe the theme was by saying it's about the meaning of life and what is the meaning of life, and he said that sounds so pompous when you say it like that, but that is really the only way he could describe it. And it is really, but it's definitely not pretentious. It doesn't, although it does ask serious questions and is quite a serious film at times, it knows how to have fun, and it has a lot of fun as well. It's got a fantastic sense of humour, particularly in the interactions between all the characters, but between the family interactions with Joe's family, and it's all really beautifully real. Of course, I watched this on Disney Plus, and a real big plus about watching it on Disney Plus is they have special features on there as well, so I did watch back through those as well, and it's really in-depth stuff looking into the filmmakers' process and how painstakingly Pixar always put into every detail of every frame. A big question they had to answer was, how do we film nothing, basically? So when it goes into the astral planes in the narrative and it goes into the otherworldly aspects, how do they film that? And I think it's one of the most creative ways I've seen a team of filmmakers put the afterlife, or even the before life as it is in this, on screen. It's really beautiful. It seems that Pixar, particularly in the case of this production, they're very encouraging for every artist to bring their all, bring different ideas, and the director would always take those on board. It looked like a very fun and creative atmosphere to work in. The Jerrys, as they're referred to as, or the counsellors in the film, I was trying to figure out what they looked like during the course of the film, and because they're beautifully animated, and I think the closest I could get to was, it looks like those wire games you kind of used to play, you know, when you had to take the wire and it had to go around the wire, otherwise it would make a beeping noise if you touched it. That was kind of the best way I could think of to describe it. In the behind the scenes, they describe it as they look like wire sculptures, which is perfect. That's the perfect analysis for it. And the artist, Diana Marsiglisi, sorry, I think I'm pronouncing that wrong, took the idea from story artist Afton Corbin, fantastic sketches of what they would look like, and she just took that and made wire sculptures, and that seemed to fit in with what they were meant to look like, and these strange otherworldly beings. They're just some of the characters that are so breathtaking to look at in this film and beautifully brought to life. They're really, every character is so involving and feels like you've known them for a long time, which is a massive thing for a story on screen to pull off. It also holds the best visual representation of depression I can remember for a long time, through these great hulking kind of dark figures that are genuinely look like anxiety personified, and I thought that was really moving how they kind of did that and how effective that was, particularly from a young viewer who may be watching this. I think it would absolutely explain that feeling so well just visually, and I thought that's why Pixar always excel at making great family films, because they just work on so many levels. If you look at Inside Out most recently, this is the best Pixar film since Inside Out, I think, and the reason is because they just hit that emotional level every time, and I was close to weeping again. Like, I mean, Inside Out, I literally bawled my eyes out in the cinema, and although I didn't quite get to that level in this one, I felt myself welling up many times, and I think it's just how human it is. Not meaning to sound pretentious, but it just feels very human and very real what you're watching. I think a lot of that has to do with how much creative expression and they had through production. It seemed like everyone had a fantastic time putting their all onto the screen, and there is so much inventiveness going on in this film. It leaves you feeling inspired. The music is also a massive component of the film, with a score composed by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, which is always fantastic. They do such great synthy scores. Particularly, I think they had a massive influence on the otherworldly aspects of the film. Sonically, it sounds like the best synthy electronic stuff in Nine Inch Nails, and they've just transferred it and put it into a Disney film and not hold back on the sort of weird, dark feeling to it, which completely just gets you. It just completely makes you feel like it's just a great form of expression. Jon Batiste is the jazz composer for the film and had a massive influence on how Joe plays his music as well, particularly in the piano sequences where you see Joe playing. A lot of the hand animation was modelled on Batiste's own performance. Even the dialogue, to a certain extent, was also formed off of stuff that John would say about music, and I thought that was really clever and really wonderful that they kept that in the film as part of the actual script. There's this fantastic sequence in which we're watching a musician on the subway play this song, and I fell in love with that song instantly, and it turns out it's actually by a musician called Cody Chestnut. Beautiful voice. They've done such a fantastic job with the music in this film, and it reminded me on a personal level to something in my own life. And my granddad, Eric, who sadly passed away a few years ago, was a huge jazz music enthusiast, and I couldn't help but think of him at certain points during this film and think, if he was still here today, how much he would love this film, actually, and it hit me on an emotional level on that point. I think he'd really like the music in this, and I think, although I've never been a massive jazz music fan myself, this film definitely made me see why people are so enthusiastic about that specific genre of music. And I think what it also does so well is that it's just about music in general, even if it's not jazz. This just happens to be focusing on that particular genre, but music is such a massive part of life. In my personal opinion as well, I think it really does bring you to a whole new level. If you're feeling down, just stick some music on, you're going to feel on top of the world. And this manages to capture that perfectly. I think what it also captures fantastically, though, is the feeling. Of course, it's fantastic to pursue it, be ambitious, pursue your dreams, accomplish your goals on any artistic level. I think is really wonderful, and it's definitely not putting that idea down. But what it is also saying is that it's important not to miss the simple stuff in life, or not the simple stuff, but just the perceived, the gifts that we come across on a day-to-day basis. It's another one of those real feel-good films that does remind you that to live every moment of your life. Don't feel like your life's insignificant, because it really isn't. Everything you do, from just every time you wake up in the morning, is a blessing, you know. And I had that real feeling of that just coming through the animation, through. I was watching this just thinking it's a blessing to be able to watch this film. It's just beautiful thing to experience, and it is you do feel very self-reflective afterwards, and like I say, it is an existential film, so it does make you think about your own life as well. The overall message of the film is but as simple as just live your life to every single moment, from the cup of tea that you have in the mornings, and enjoy every sip of that, and just, that's what life's all about. Just enjoy everything that comes your way. I'm going to give Soul a 5 out of 5. I would thoroughly recommend it, particularly if you love the old classic Pixar movies. Pixar just keep showing everyone how to do family animation films. Like, they just really, the themes are so rich and so cleverly and beautifully explored that everyone of any age can understand it. I just find that really exciting cinema, and it's definitely going to be in my top 10 of the list of 2020. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching this one. I'd like to hear what you guys thought of Soul as well. Please do comment below and let me know what you think. Have you seen it yet? If you haven't seen it, does it look like something you want to try out if you've seen this review? And you know, I hope I've encouraged you to watch it if you haven't. Next week I'm going to be uploading, finally, my top 10 films of 2020. I had a bit of catching up to do at the beginning of this year, including Soul just now, and before this I just watched Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, which was also brilliant. Also, I'd like to hear your top films of 2020. It's been a really stressful year for everybody, so films was a massive escapism during that time, getting to watch new content that, luckily, bless them all, the filmmakers have been able to do during this pandemic. Thank you guys so much again for watching. Peace and love, my friends.